RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. Excited to be back for another Monday night live stream. Getting started a little bit late. Had some issues with my PC. My mouse is not working. But yet we're here. So hopefully everyone's doing well. I wanted to check in. A lot of things has been happening over the last couple of days, and also a lot of things that I am probably not aware of that is worthy of talking about. So excited to be back. Let's talk. Want to find out what's going on in your world, as well as just share some of my thoughts on everything that's transpired over the last couple of days and what's to come. So, inflation. That's something I've been hearing a lot about lately, and it looks like we can expect a new standard or measurement tool of trying to achieve that inflation target. Unfortunately, it's going to be very painful, but we'll dive into that. But as always, welcome to this live stream. My name is Mike, the host. As always, for any new viewers to the channel, I want to welcome you to the live stream tonight. And feel free to let me know where you're watching from in the chat, and I'll do my best to reach out to you. I want to go through a couple articles, open up the phone lines, and then get a chance to get some feedback from you guys. So other than that, how's everybody doing? Let me know in the chat real quick. We got Solo, John, we got King D. Who else we got out here? It says Yellow Genius. Okay. So what else? Okay, John. Okay, so I see a lot of back and forth already. New York Redneck, low blood pressure. John, the 10th man. Okay, so with that being the case, let's jump right into it. So, Saturday, and so it looks like President Trump went ahead and did as he promised of putting forth his attempt to keep the ball rolling as far as this recovery, as he would put it, and by providing the necessary relief for those that are being impacted the most. And so it sounds good in theory, sounds good on paper. So it looks all good when the cameras is flashing, you're writing your signature and holding up, what you just signed into law or whatever. But yet it's a matter of timing. How fast would that relief get to where it's needed? That's going to be the issue. So I don't think it's going to roll out as smoothly as he wants. And between now and next couple of weeks, expect some type of hang up or altercation that comes from the the other side of the aisle that want to have it done the right way, as Nancy Pelosi would put it. But anyway, he said we got no drama. Yama, we got Army of One, Master Chai from Miami. How you doing, my friend? TK Shakur, okay. Crypto One King. Says an 400 unemployment will only be paid if the states paid $100 of the $4. Right. And that's where I got an article here where, unfortunately, I'd imagine a lot of the states are going to play hardball just because one of the primary reasons the Democrats wanted to incorporate some extra stimulus or bailout funds, as I put it last week, was to be able to provide some relief for the states due to the fact that tax revenue is not there, as well as the budgets are already, most states are running a deficit for the most part. And then you factor in all the expenditures, such as all the promises that were given and pensions and the utilities and services and whatnot. So all those things are right now going to be relatively cash strapped. And so that's another hang up in this unemployment being rolled out. And I'll actually touch on an article right here that mentions that. And so let me find this article right here. And so here is the article here. Just came across not long ago, but it says states strain to carry out Trump order on unemployment. And so it's my personal opinion that due to a good portion of the, there's a variety, pretty much all the states are having issues, but in the democratically led states primarily are the ones that are probably running the underfunded pension system problems. And so those are the states that are in need a little bit more bailout relief. And so until something is provided extra, I don't see this unemployment 400 actually being incorporated by many states, if any, for the most part. So that's going to be a longer gap. So it's good to say that if there was any chance of the unemployment extension continuing on, it will not probably be this month, because this will not be a smooth transition here. And so it just talks more about how a lot of states are already having issues, and they're actually counting on some of the billions that was not provided in the HEROES Act to meet obligations. So, not surprised one bit. All right, what else we got here? Let me see here. It says, keep your weight up back on the pounds. because during a famine, your body can eat the fat stored on your body. Army of one. Okay, so let's jump right into the inflation talk. And so, yeah, so I read 2 articles a day at least about how the Federal Reserve has committed towards really pushing to reach their target. And unfortunately, because their target is so skewed in nature, there's no way that they'll actually be able to hit it, given the fact that, from 2 articles I read that talks about how just there's still some unclarity as to exactly what inflation is. And so I remember watching a interview last week, I think it was, between or like a little debate type of thing between Peter Schiff and Jim Rickards on, I think it's on Kitco. And Jim Rickards and Peter Schiff both had two different definitions of inflation. And so if those are 2 highly respected, influential, alternative media / mainstream precious metals enthusiasts, if those 2 guys can't agree on what inflation is, it's good to say that a majority of the population as well may not know. But yet, based upon history and how inflation, when it gets out of control, turns into hyperinflation, it becomes quite obvious as to what inflation is, and it's excessive, currency in circulation. And so, how do you think we get to hyperinflation, where you see bills thrown on the streets or whatnot? And so, I saw a video about Venezuela, literally shared the other day, about how 100 Bolivar notes are just flying everywhere. That's a primary example of hyperinflation. But how do you think you get to that point? You let inflation get out of control. And so what does that look like? Too much currency. So anyway, but it says we got here. It says stimulus is just crumbs to keep the majority quiet while they steal billions. Oh, definitely. But here's the thing. I was thinking about this earlier. Like we're at the point now where, okay, so here's another article here. And so just the title alone, it's humorous in nature. It says Trump expects U.S. economy to grow at 20% pace, supports middle income tax cut. And so here we've just witnessed the most shocking event within a short time frame, due to the fact that they completely closed down the economy, and they're now attempting to reboot it, restart it, or whatever. And then the mainstream narrative, of course, is claiming the economy's coming back, jobs, and of course, if you guys had a chance to watch the Trump press conference today, he pretty much shined more light into his agenda, and ultimately, his ultimate agenda. You can tell that because of this whole tax situation and the fact that the left wants to see his tax returns, and they've been hounding on that for 3+ years. They still got some stuff going on in New York where some attorney generals are still trying to pull his tax returns for whatever reason. I think President Trump is clearly fed up with the word taxes, and based upon the actions he's taking, it's good to say that if he's reelected, he's going to be shooting for the abolishing tax in general, or taxes, especially on income and things of that nature, and payroll tax. And so we're heading to a world where, how do you provide the funding? You run deficits until you reboot the system and issue that next monetary world order or whatever it might be. But yet, just this article here, economy grows 20%. Okay, sure. It went to zero. It went negative. It went negative 32 GDP. I mean, like, if it went negative 20% pace, doesn't really say much. It still keeps us in the negative, if you look at it from that standpoint there. And so just stuff like this really gets under my skin, because we all can tell where this is heading, and it's not going to be pretty. And so back to inflation. And so let me pull up an article right here, and I'll stop ranting, and then I'll open up the phone lines and we can talk further. But here is an interesting article here that shines more light onto a subject matter that we're going to become very familiar with very soon, because inflation is already present. It's unfortunate that how they measure it is very flawed, to where it doesn't account for all the inflation and all the asset bubbles that they've intentionally inflated through their monetary policy, which is going to ramp up even more as they look to, as I say here, Fed study says an average inflation may be a better way to reach our goal. And so this is a pretty, detailed article here. But from this graph here, what really caught my attention, where, as it says, rethinking inflation targeting. And so whenever I see the words rethinking, it makes me just, it makes me chuckle a little bit, because A lot of people are rethinking or beginning to think, but here, this little visual right here, you see, it says over the last decade, basically, they haven't been able to achieve their 2% target. And how it's measured according to the Federal Reserve is it's labeled as price growth. And so what they're saying is in a healthy economy, prices for everything that we use should grow at the rate of about 2% as signs of a healthy, expanding economy. And so that's the Federal Reserve's narrative and their spinoff on what inflation is and what their target is. And so the idea of growth through higher prices. And so I thought price stability was also one of the things that they were supposed to be shooting for. So how do you have price growth and price stability at the same time? I don't know. It's complete nonsense, but they continue to feed it to us. The mainstream person, the average person, don't bother to question it. So they get away with it. But pretty soon, I think we're going to find out more as to why we're having issues we're having. All right, so let me see here. I've got a super chat here from Mr. Vince Grant. Appreciate you, my man. Question says, what hits first, Bitcoin at 20K or silver at 50? Let's see what you and the listeners think. Ooh, okay, so you want to take it there then. Okay, great one, man. All right, so this is one of the things where, based upon what you're rooting for more, you can probably build a great case and say that, Bitcoin 20K, this and that, or silver 50. So I'll give you the long-winded answer. They're both going to reach 20 and 50 as just a beginning in comparison to, as a result of inflation. But just for chuckles here, which one gets to 20K first? Based upon the 100 and was it well over 100, probably 150 years of manipulation and the complete rigging of the word silver, I would say silver, based upon its current trend, can reach 50 faster because of what we're witnessing now with the complete erosion of confidence in the Federal Reserve note and the world recognizing how important it is to actually have something physical in hand. And then, of course, you have the new crowd that's excited about being able to escape this dying system into the digital economy, the new digital economy that's coming in the form of Bitcoin. So I say $50 silver first because we're only $20 away, basically. And at the rate that it's going up over the last 2 weeks, was it a dollar a day or $3 a week or something? Or it's been climbing incrementally very fast. So 50 is a lot closer than 20. But yet, once again, as markets implode and confidence is lost, we can see a 50 then a 20 right at the same time for the most part. But for the fact of throwing it out there, I'm curious to find out what you guys think. Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think about that question put out there by Mr. Grant? And so it says, King D says silver, that means Bitcoin would almost double. Let me see here. It says, Johnny Boy says, California Governor Newsom has top state health official resign. Cries of money needed from Trump. Clearly he's in trouble, state and bankrupt. So are cities and counties. Yeah. So the cities, and the states that's already experiencing issues due to the fact they don't have a budget. They're already in the negative. Those states right there will not be able to comply with this, unemployment extension right away. And so once again, that's going to be, as Mnuchin came out today earlier and said that I'm still waiting on the Fed, or I'm still waiting on the Democrats to talk. And he even threw out there that, we got more money. We're going to have to throw more money at this. And so just that right there lets me know where this is all heading. Also, let me find this. Let me see if I got this article on here or not. Let me see. Did I find it? Yeah. Okay. So copy. So here's an article here, which kind of lets you know the direction this has to go in, because there's no way out. We're too far down the rabbit hole to turn around now. And so here's an article here. It says Mnuchin is open to restarting the virus relief talks. We're prepared to put more money on the table. And so when you can create it out of nowhere or just borrow it, which is not necessarily borrow because you're not paying it back, but if you can get it at with the drop of with the signature of a pen, why not put more out there type of thing? And so that right there, this came out today. or no, I think this was yesterday. I think after this was Sunday's. So if you can say make a statement like that, that lets me know that the whole idea of signing this past Saturday was just for show, because once again, it's going to take time to roll through the system as well as for states to get on board. And so it doesn't surprise me one bit. And so what else we got here? It says Trump does the same thing he critiqued Obama about of doing, signing executive order. He should have let Congress extend a stimulus VIPs. Yeah. So here's the thing, man. Like, we're playing it's a cat and mouse game. Good guy versus bad guy, and everything is all about the election. And so once again, Trump continues to mention about the mail-in ballot fraud. And so just the other day, I saw an article. A young lady in somewhere on the East Coast was arrested for having submitted 500 mail-in ballots or something like that. It was something crazy to where. So that's happening everywhere. So we will not have an honest election at all. And so think about this. When it comes time to actually go to the polls, if we can, it still will not be an accurate way of counting the votes, period, because we're still going to have issues from all the ballots that are scattered throughout the states and all the fraud and all the issues from that. So I don't think we're going to have a chance to actually, by the end of the day or the next morning, when you, like, for example, when Trump won presidency, I went to bed thinking it was, not knowing what was going on, woke up and found out he was the president. I'm like, whoa. So I don't think we're going to have that type of event because A, we may not get to that point, or B, it's going to be prolonged and there's going to be some chaos in between because the mainstream media is really going to go on a world spin, and it's going to be plastered no matter what happens. Joe Biden wins, and so they're going to really pump a fake narrative no matter what. So that's going to create chaos. So yeah, let me get you guys. So phone lines are open. I'm doing too much ranting, but inflation targeting. So I want to get back to this article here because this article here gives us some insight into what they're going to be bringing our way pretty soon. And so just to give you an idea here, I'll save you the long-winded, but the graph here shows that for the last 10 years, they've been undershooting their target of 2%. So what they're looking to do now is to implement something they've mentioned before. It's nothing new, but it's going to be readdressed where they're going to look to overshoot and basically no longer actually set a target, but just keep it open so that they can experiment and continue to roll out all types of things. And as we're witnessing, they're buying everything. And so another article I have here about them buying blue chip stocks as well as junk bonds. And so the Main Street lending program. So remember, those 11 facilities, I think it's 11. Last time I heard it's 11. So there's 11 facilities that was put aside. And those 11 facilities that are meant to provide liquidity, those are going to be the floodgates that gets them to their target of 2% and beyond, because all those companies they're buying out, all those funds will be rolled into either the equities market, pumping up the equities markets even further, or it might find its way in Main Street in one form or another. And so with that guarantee there of unlimited stimulus, quantitative easing, you name all that stuff like that, it's no way it can hide for long. So it will be coming pretty soon, and it's going to creep out of the things that's already inflated. It's going to start appearing in things that we take for granted, i.e., like I did last week, an article on food. So once again, certain regions of the country are experiencing higher food costs as well. I'm not sure about the gasoline. I haven't really paid much attention to it, but think about those things that you are used to acquiring now. And it's a part of your regular monthly or weekly or every bi-weekly grocery list. Those items are going to start ramping up. And then also, because of the shortages, it's going to be a shortage of imported goods because China and U.S. trade situation is about to go belly up as they're having some type of assessment of the phase one process, see how it goes, because they think that there's been some issues with China living up to their obligations. So therefore, that's going to piss China off. They may just pull out, and so I'm anticipating that this checkup on a trade deal or whatever it's going to be labeled as, it's going to cause a shock in the markets pretty soon. Like, I'm anticipating some type of jolt in the markets to further unravel this economy, because the ultimate goal by those that are trying to destroy the system and restructure the system is to create as much panic and fear. And right now, the health situation is not as it's not as prolonged as they wanted it to be. Here we have Cash Kari, the governor, the Federal Reserve, one of the governors of the Federal Reserve, saying that we need another 6 weeks, and we need to be more strict with this one. So when you got Federal Reserve governors who have no idea of what medicine or whatever is, they're talking about shutting down intentionally. It'll be better for the economy in the end. Lets me know that they need more fear. So if they don't get fear, they're going to try to pull the plug or remind Trump as to who's really, running this show over here. All right, so let me get here. Let me see who's talking. So as always, highlight everything in the dollar. I think I missed some thoughts and comments. It says Biden's even more status quo for Wall Street and less of theatrics. Yeah, and so just again today, how many times will President Trump reiterate that if Biden wins, the markets will crash? We'll see a crash like we've never seen before. And so once again, like it's just that, the president speak of him being able to say whatever he wants because majority of the people don't question it like that. People who are awake, the alternative media questions everything. But no matter what comes, we're going to experience a shock to the system outside of what we just encountered, which is a tremor compared to what's coming. Because you think about this, at this current moment, the narrative is the vaccine, when it comes, it's going to help the recovery. We're going to get back to normal. There is no normal. The normal is gone. The Federal Reserve has ruined that. And they're using all this to cover up what's really going on. And so think about this. With President Trump now, his objective is to end taxes. So he talked about cutting payroll tax. And so, of course, the Democrats and everybody else want to go on a whole tirade about its Social Security as well as Medicare and stuff like that. Okay. And that's when it's a tough and sticky situation, people. But it's better to shoot it straight than the bull BS you. Social Security, even though you paid into it, it was a Ponzi from day one. And so it's one of them things where my personal opinion is that, like Alan Greenspan said, you might get something, but the question is, what will it be able to purchase? And right now, between today and the next 12 to 24 months, we're going to experience an adjustment in the ability of the Federal Reserve note to purchase at the same level it is now. And so what I would probably throw out there as a way for President Trump to smooth over the baby boomers in particular, who he's going to piss off, is to offer them a payout, a one-time payout of something nice, and let them know that, hey, because the Social Security trust is already basically in the negative. And so it's one of them things where you may not be able to actually get anything of substance down the line. How about you take a lump sum up front? And so I think, the question is, for all my people out there getting Social Security, we were told that it's something that you should be able to trust upon receiving for the rest of your life. But next 2-3 years, we're not going to be under the same system. So for those under Social Security right now, would you be good with taking a payout now? Because that payout now, in my personal opinion, will do you more justice than to continue to get the incremental payments that you're getting, from here on out. Because, first guess, my thought is, make it a easy 20,000, 20 or 30,000 within a short period of time can allow a lot of people receiving Social Security to get into metals right now. And those metals that you get into will definitely do you a lot better than relying upon just solely a check once a month in a currency that's dying and in a currency that's being killed deliberately. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents there. But because of the cutting of payroll tax, suspension or whatever he's called it, if he's elected again, he's going to cut it. He's going to cut he's going to cut the income tax for the middle class, as well as cut capital gains tax for him and his buddies. And those that are, usually high net worth individuals that are not in the employment realm, they're the business owners. So, and then he said that for those who watched the press conference tonight, he said that cutting the capital gains tax will create more jobs. So, yeah, if you believe that, but it is what it is. So, if you cut all those taxes, that's not where will the revenue come from? And that's, that right there lets me know the deficit spending beyond the 4.8 trillion that's expected between now and end of this year will be double. So we're looking at a national debt of well beyond 35 trillion by the middle of next year. So once again, is the currency you're going to be getting paid in worth trying to collect for the rest of your life, or would you want a lump sum up front if you were receiving Social Security? And so that's a sticky subject, but it's real talk that I think more people should really begin looking into. Dark Sage says, have an interesting political question for you, but not sure how well versed you are in European politics. Dark Sage, drop it, my friend. And if I can't answer it, definitely hear people in the chat. We got a very smart audience. Feel free to drop it. I was told years ago I'm never going to see Social Security, Army of One. I mean, just me knowing that the whole idea of Social Security is a Ponzi scheme in nature, because it's built upon the fact that you're going to have people coming in behind you, putting in, that will provide the funds for you today. That's been ended. And so right now the government borrows yearly to bring in funds per year to pay out, because there's been a shortfall of the working class, like millennials and younger don't have the same level of work ethic or desire to work to put into the Social Security. So I think when Social Security first was introduced as a part of the Great Society, I want to say it was maybe 20 or 30. No, I'm sorry, the New Deal. As a part of that arrangement, there it was like 40 or 50 people per one, 40 people putting in per one recipient. As of today, I think it's like maybe 4. So you got 4 people paying for every recipient that's drawn out. The Ponzi scheme is up. It's ran its course. Yeah. So Britt VR says New York housing market crash. Okay, so there's going to be certain pockets in this country where pricing or housing is going to just go. It's going down now. Real estate, man. I was listening to Grant Cardone, and I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone at Cardone Capital, because he shoots it straight and he's about his paper. But yet he's trying to get people into a property fund for one of his projects. And I'm thinking, like, right now, real estate, unless it's bought and paid for and it's yours, to be out there trying to get into the game now, if you're not already in the game, it's risky, because I'm of the mindset your best bet is to get something physical in the form of metals. And when property prices drop, which they will, then that's the best time to become a real estate investor for the first time. All right. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Pete in Colorado.
Pete, it's always good to hear from you. What's going on, my friend?
Oh, you're just talking about all these things that are going to happen, but to take you back a step, haven't they already happened?
Oh yeah. But I think right now it's going to become more obvious to a lot of people who never cared or paid attention before.
Well, I mean, let me ask you, how much has the dollar lost its value in the last 100 years?
Oh, man, we're down to maybe 3. So here's the thing. Based upon what we're told and what we witnessed from the Fed consumer dollar price chart, it says 3 cents. But that was it's been on 3 cents for the last 10 years, and they didn't QE this, additional couple trillion. So I don't really trust that. So my personal opinion is that it's already lost 100%. It's probably lost 100%.
Well, yeah, at $20 now $2,000.
Yeah.
How about Social Security? What did Social Security buy you 20 years ago compared to today? How much has the purchasing power lost its value in the last 20 years already?
Oh, about the same as the dollar, the Federal Reserve note. The boys, they go in tandem.
But, I mean, don't you think it's relevant to ask the question, not that it's going to happen, but hasn't it already happened?
Yes, it's occurring now, yes. And that's one of the things that's kind of tricky, I must admit, Pete, because as of now, the Federal Reserve note, 1 unit, doesn't purchase anything really, because you have to add something with it, which means it's already negative. Like, you have to add on to that 1 Federal Reserve note, but it's still relevant because we receive it for payment and it still spends. And that's where it's kind of like, it seems kind of odd to say, don't hold a lot of them, but yet in the meantime, you still need them.
I suppose.
Oh man, like
No, I mean,
well, so is it interesting? Also, I'm hearing all types of articles, mainstream sources about how internationally, nations, governments, they're all now looking at the dollar, i.e., the dollar, differently now as they look to diversify away from it, and that's been the case for quite some time now. But it's becoming a mainstream narrative, which kind of speeds things up in a sense.
well, they're moving away from it. It'll take a while.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's moving away from it. But at the end of the day, and also you're talking about, will stocks like go down? You know, what do you think of John Williams and Shadowstat?
John Williams, I think he's on point with his research and the fact he's still using the calculations from 30 years ago that gives us more accurate numbers. So I think he's legit.
Okay, so if you go off of him, and if he's legit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stocks have gone down in the last 20 years.
Okay, so I see where you're going with that, and I read an article that talks about. Okay, yeah, I gotta get my thoughts though. Okay, but shine some more light on that for me.
No, the purchasing power of your stocks wouldn't buy as much as it did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
College costs 4 times as much. Housing costs 2.5 times as much. Healthcare costs 4 times as much.
Yeah.
You know, stocks have not kept pace.
Yeah.
So all this talk of a stock market crash, it's been crashing.
Yeah.
If you believe the old measures of inflation and not the current CPI.
Right. Or PCE lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't understand why people can't wrap their head around the fact that stocks can go up and crash at the same time.
Yeah.
Why is everyone stuck at nominal values?
Yeah, and that viewpoint there is not something that's not mentioned often, and so we have just the mainstream narrative primarily of like, if it's going up, it's good, and nothing else that really challenges that. So I'd assume that's why that's not really talked about often.
Well, let me point something out to you.
Okay.
Since 2000, stocks have gone up. You know what? A little less than, or 2.5, 3 times, right?
Okay.
Gold's gone up almost 20 times.
Yeah.
Stocks have crashed.
Yeah. That's true.
So don't expect the number to go down. The number can keep going up, and they can keep crashing.
Yeah.
Why is everyone so fixated on price? Price doesn't matter. Value matters.
Right.
And nobody can wrap their mind around value.
Good point.
And I don't understand that.
Yeah, there was I gotta find it. I'll bring it up probably tomorrow night. But there's a video I watched of, I think, the Market Sniper. And so if everybody go to YouTube, look up the Market Sniper, and he gave a excellent presentation on the value, the historical value of metals in relation to the money supply. And he talks about value a lot, and then he shows the potential price of where it's going to go based upon the value of the currency in circulation now in comparison to what it was then, and it was very good. So that video right there, I'm going to mention it another time, but that video there, he talks a lot about the value of gold and silver in relation to stocks as well, and it's very eye-opening as to how the price, how much gold, the gold to Dow ratio, when you measure it 40 years ago in relation to the value of the currency into today, we still have a lot more room to go.
40 years.
Yeah.
40 years ago is a bad measurement because things had been suppressed, and in 1980 it overdid it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. So so forgive me. So 50 years ago, because he started in the 60s. His graphs go back to the 60s, but it was a great presentation and really, got me excited about the future value of metals. So in relation to equities or whatever. So, but something worthwhile, man.
Yeah. The one difference we have is, like I keep saying, gold's not a lottery ticket. It goes nowhere. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of it. But no, and I misspoke when I said 20 times. Gold's only up 10 times, and the stock market's up like 2.5 times in the last 20 years.
2010, it's still significant. So in a good way. So, hey, man.
No, but I mean,
yeah.
But people just need to stop thinking about price or thinking about things going up in price. Price never matters. It's what does it buy you?
Yeah. Hey, man, you got a good point. Yeah. Well, hey, Pete, question for you. Do you got an answer for that question after what you last week?
Nah, I didn't even consider it. It's not going to happen. I still look one way.
Yeah.
I look both ways on a one-way street. I just don't see that. I hope I'm wrong.
I know, and it came to me, and I thought I'll throw it out there and see if I get something in return, man. But hey, I appreciate you calling.
Always appreciate talking to you.
Be good, my friend.
You take care.
Yes, sir, man. Good stuff. So yeah, value, man. That's something else. Let me get another call here. As always, phone lines are open. Let me talk. I'm going to talk to some people. Give me a call. Let's talk. Hello, Carlos. Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Mike, tonight? This is Dwayne calling from the Midwest. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing good, Dwayne from the Midwest. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Not much. I was just thinking about, like the caller was talking about price and value.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at value, there's a Bible verse. It's Genesis 47:15.
Okay.
And it says, when the money fell in Egypt, in the land of Canaan. So when the money fails, what was important? Food.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like I think a lot of people are so focused on gold and silver. I mean, I believe that all of that you need to have a balance. I don't hear too much talking about the famine that's coming, because as you're starting to notice, as these prices tick up, the more the prices tick up, the more deterioration in society.
Yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind. Like, everybody's looking for a price to move. Like, it's not like stock. Stock, when you get a stock run, the society is still in place. Let's say you get a 10 bagger. You know what I'm saying? On your stock, society is still in place. But it seems like to me, when the metals catch on fire, like society, everything is caving. It's starting to go haywire. I mean, there was shots fired at the president. I mean, well, around the president. I want to say Adam. I don't know what Adam he was inside, but around the president. So that's like society. So I just think people need to think, not only do they need to think of value, I agree with the last caller, to think of value, but I think they need to think more than outside of metals. There's other things that's going to have impact on your life besides you get all these metals. Okay, you can have all these metals, but the number one thing, like, what are you going to do about food? What do you think is going to do about security?
Right.
Those are the things that I think are lacking. I think it's kind of like naive thinking that most people have, like, well, I'm going to get this great return. Okay, you're going to have a great return, but there's a tank rolling down your street.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, man. And that's why I've always mentioned, like, of course, from an investment standpoint, you want to see your assets do well. But then I think about when you get to the point where you're looking for the incremental run of your portfolio, that means a lot of people are going to be missing out, because the majority of people don't have the foreknowledge to have accumulated those things. So they're going to be, it won't be as enjoyable for you, more than likely. Like when we had a crypto run, people bought Lambos and Lamborghini and all that stuff. Like, you won't be driving a Lamborghini, if things go haywire is the way that we anticipate them to go. So, or it might not be smart to drive a Lamborghini.
Exactly. I mean, you driving a Lamborghini, I mean, you might have other problems. Somebody might meet you with a little something special, thinking they could get something out of you. I mean, that's when you're talking about a breakdown society. I mean, I don't mind a gold run, but I'd rather have society intact.
Yeah.
I'd rather have society intact where our supply chains are not broken down, where kids still can go to school.
Yeah.
Things that some form of society, but it looks like we're going where we're going right now. It looks like this transition is going to be pretty turbulent. I think we just all need to be more realistic and prepare other things outside of metal. That's why you say rethinking the dollar. Rethinking the dollar has other consequences than getting a return on your portfolio.
Correct.
That's all I have to say.
Hey, I agree, my man. Good stuff. I appreciate you for sharing that.
Yep, no problem.
All right, be good. Yeah, that is some great thoughts there. Like, it's one of the things where from an investment standpoint, you want everything to go well because you have prepared. But you got to realize the majority, and probably I would be willing to say 97% of the population have no clue as to what's unraveling, i.e. just look around and you'll see everybody who's wearing a mask in their car and beyond. Those are the individuals right there that think they believe what they were told. Therefore, they're going to be the ones that probably end up, usually suffering the most as well. So, yeah, but pray for them individuals. I think we need, let me see, I got a call here. I think we really need to get more collective prayer as well. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My son's name is John 57945.
John 7945. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to hear from you. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, the reason why I'm calling is I had a quick question. You were talking about Social Security earlier on.
Yeah.
And my question was, do you think that Social Security and UBI are going to become combined at some point? It may not be the same thing with it, but I think UBI is inevitable, concerned with all the baby boomers and the people who are unemployed.
Yeah.
And I wonder at some point if maybe the two of them are just kind of be kind of a combined thing where you may not have Social Security, but UBI will kind of take over or become the wheel that or vehicle that becomes in place or replaces Social Security.
Yes. So I personally think that Social Security and UBI will become one, primarily because as a part of this restructuring that's going on, and the fact that Trump has made it clear that he's looking to cut, every form of taxation. And so that's why I think that moving forward, especially if he gets reelected, the Federal Reserve and the IRS and all those departments that was set in place for this dying paradigm we're in now will be done differently. As a part of the transition to the digital world or whatever, they're going to have to do something because they want to work. They're concerned with Social Security, the baby boomers, the unbanked, as well as those that are unemployed. So those are three classes of individuals there that will probably not have the same amount of options as a healthier young person that, is probably working and familiar with the digital transition. So they're going to have to provide for those individuals or want to provide for them. And that'll be through the digital transition. So yes, I can see Social Security being cut or being rolled into that. And I can see that number they keep throwing out there. And so if you look at the Boost Act, that's $2,000 a month that they're trying to put in there. And if it goes through, which it won't, but it was supposed to start in 2021 in January. So they would use that and say it's just during the pandemic, but yet it would be extended longer because there'll be no recovery. We're in a restructuring, not a recovery. So yes, I do believe that is the case.
Yeah, and I think that was part of, I know you mentioned earlier tonight, Sniper, Mr. Sniper, he thinks that he goes, we're already in UBI. And I saw the same video you did.
Mm-hmm.
And he had all the high points and low points of silver.
Yeah.
And he was comparing the gold to silver ratio over the last, I want to say 50 to 60 years.
Yeah.
And he had all of them circled. And he was saying like why now is different.
Yeah.
And he was talking about like the fact that we're already in UBI.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, it just hasn't caught to the United States yet, but it will come to pass.
Yeah.
In the very near future.
Yeah.
Which I kind of agree with.
Yeah. I agree.
And that leads up to my second question is, I've been seeing a lot of more videos on Kitco lately and other YouTube channels saying that they think at some point there's going to be a gold confiscation. I was kind of curious what your thoughts on that were, whether it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
Or what do you think it's going to be some kind of thing where maybe, gold would have to go a lot higher, but maybe at some point they went through a confiscation, but they would do something where I think E.B. Tucker explained on his Kitco video where they would pass some kind of excise tax on gold, where it wasn't illegal, but they would charge a tax when you want to turn it in and claim, whatever the value was at that particular point in time.
Yeah.
Which, I had some positives and negatives about it, but at least I thought it was kind of an interesting point. And I noticed a lot of more people, as of lately, are starting to turn to that, whether or not there's going to become a point in time where we are going to relive a gold confiscation, within our lives, I guess, so to speak. So that's the last question I had.
All right, well, man, I appreciate you. I'll answer that question off air, so I appreciate you for bringing that up because that is a good point.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Yes, sir. So yeah, great point. Great question there, man. So I know what article, what interview E.B. Tucker, I did watch that as well. And so gold confiscation, man, it's hard to read, man, because on one end, as I mentioned before, with Trump, if Trump gets a second term, I do see gold in the equation somehow, some way, because by them eliminating all forms of taxation, and I never was a fan of. I actually just briefly looked up this Nasara or whatever it is. So and this plays into, and so I see a lot of people always ask me about Nasara, GSARA, whatever, the National Economic Security and Recovery Act. And so this is not law, but it's something that's been floating for some time now. And a lot of the things in regards to this about cutting taxation and stuff like that, and probably eliminating the Federal Reserve, and then having a national sales tax might be something that will be rolled out. So gold. And so if we were to experience something like this, the restructuring of our monetary system where the Federal Reserve was not the anchor of it, then I can see gold being important. And then if gold is important, I can imagine they will definitely look to make sure that those that were prepared in advance will not benefit excessively. And so I think confiscation could come into play only in large depository type places. And I can see them nationalizing gold or whatnot, but only from the large stockpiles that's in the Brinks vaults and stuff like that, or in the Grand Canyon or whatever like that, to bring it into the fold to be able to say, hey, we have certain amount of tonnage or whatever. Okay. But as far as your everyday investor, I don't see them actually going to the people directly, or they would never be able to get away with passing some type of executive order saying, please turn it in or you go to jail. People just wouldn't, whatever, because there'll be no law enforcement really like that to enforce that. But on a national level, if we were to go to some type of monetary system that's restructured entirely, there's going to have to be an anchor to reset a standard. And that standard will be gold based. And then they're going to also have the digital spinoff as well with that. So confiscation, yes, only for the large stockpiles that they obviously know about. But other than that, your average investor, I don't see them coming for it, just because it will be too much of a headache on their part to actually go through the process of getting it. Because majority of the population, an overwhelming majority of the population do not have weight. So there's no real risk there. All right, so let me see here. It says, read your utility bills. They tell us what their plans are. Napa County plans to radio water and off electricity for public safety power shutoffs. It's all online. Use your zip code. Okay, that's something different. I'm not familiar with that one. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Mike. This is Avocado Joy from Tampa.
How you doing, young lady?
I'm doing well. I have a joke.
Okay, go ahead and give it to us.
The Amish had it right all along.
Okay. What's that?
The Amish, because I was just thinking the other day, technically, housing is like the product from the government.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like from the banking system. Because it was the banking system and the government that triggered this whole, every American needs to have a house, that American dream type of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans bought into it. And I'm like, how did that shift occur? I've been meaning to dive into that because literally it's like every American gave their lives completely over to the banking system by purchasing these products, aka the houses. And then I was just watching a recent video thinking about the Amish community, how they still build their houses, and they have all of these, things in their home and around their community where they can just update them and maintain them themselves. You know, they don't. I don't know. It was just an interesting thought, so I wanted to just put that out there and share that.
I was thinking about it the other day as well, talking to my wife about that. I wonder how the Amish communities around the country have been affected in this whole crisis, given the fact that they live in their own little world in the first place. So I wonder, are they experiencing any type of pinch whatsoever? Because they have the skill sets and the ability to sustain themselves outside of this world that we've been in. So I would be curious to find out how things are going in that neck of the woods. So, but yet they have some definite skill sets that we can use right now. Majority of people can use.
Absolutely. Well, I just wanted to share that. I'm even interested to know if, like, when the vaccination comes, are they opting out? Like, how is that working with them? What is their true status? I would like to know in this country, and are they exempt from, I don't know. I wish I lived up. I'm down here in Tampa. I wish I was further up north in Ohio or something to really, talk to those folks and see just how to live. I think we need to get back to the basics.
Yeah.
Really. I'm only 30 years old, but I'm really trying to encourage my older millennials, that's what we're categorized as, to really start thinking about living off the land, being off grid, doing solar, the whole works. I think that's what we have to go back to.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, and that's Amish. That's a great question there. So I'm curious myself. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. I want to find out myself.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Great job. Thank you so much for everything you do. Later.
All right, be good.
All right.
Yeah, that is an interesting subject matter. The Amish, and so I don't know much about it, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But anybody out there familiar with the Amish community and what their status is and how they are able to do what they do? And because I'm imagining, I don't know, that's a great question. Like property taxes, the Amish have their own little communities, whatever. But how does that go as far as them being subject to property tax and all types of other taxes? Or because I'm thinking it might be, might not be too late to go ahead and join one of them communities. And, I don't mind, wearing handmade clothes and, I would probably definitely, learn a couple things. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Pay me money back. Killeen, Texas. How you doing?
I'm doing good, my man. How you doing?
I'm all right. I can tell you what the Amish doing right now.
Let me know.
The Amish is telling everybody they need to worry about what they're going to be doing. I'm just telling you straight up, man. Hey, look, check this out. Man, there's a lot of people want to know a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of time that you ain't figuring out what you going to do. If they going to confiscate gold, who cares? The question is, what you going to do when they do it? You know what I'm saying? Put yourself in them shoes. I always say, if me and you standing on a mountain, and you see dark clouds, and you hear thunder, Mike, don't look at me and ask me, money bags, you think it's going to rain? I'm going to hit you upside the tooth. No, come on, man, quit playing. We need to figure out how to take cover.
Yeah.
You see it's going to rain. You know it's going to rain. So we already know that the system is crashing and all this stuff. Find out how to position yourself and start wasting all these countless hours asking what they doing or how we going to do it. Figure out what you're going to do so when it hits, you're already good.
Yeah.
And I got one more scenario for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Check this out. So you got a camping pack on your back. You're running, right? You see a pack of dogs behind you. You running. And you got your camping pack, your sleeping bag, everything strapped. You running. You see a big old gate. You're like, okay, what's the first thing you're going to do? The dogs good length behind you, but they come. You see them. What's the first thing you're going to do when you get to this gate, Mike?
First thing, I mean, if I'm if the adrenaline is pumping and I'm running for my life from these dogs, I'm not even gonna think. I don't think I'm gonna be thinking. I'm gonna just jump and try to get over to the other side of the gate. And I say it might be open, but I'm trying to jump over the gate.
All right, now check this out. All right,
Yeah.
the dogs, like they at a good distance, so they coming right.
Yeah.
But you see them, you got a little time, so you run, get back to the gate. The average person thinking they're gonna take their pack off and throw it over the fence so they make sure they clear it because. Yeah. Check this out, Mike. You got that adrenaline point. You got the pack on your back. If you don't clear that gate, that's your butt.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Watch this. I'm gonna clear the gate. I'm not worried about that. I'm getting over that gate.
I heard that, man. But most people they're gonna throw their pack and then they're gonna jump over.
Yeah.
But the whole point of that is when you see something, don't worry about where you at right now. Position yourself on the other side. So if you got money, position yourself on some assets. If you know you got enough money to do real estate, position yourself on the other side. So when the wave hit and they do the transition, which is digital currency, well, you might not believe in digital currency, but what's breaking the rules and what's the problem with owning something and having something set to the side? Mm-hmm. People got gold and silver right now. You can't do a damn thing with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just something to think about, brother.
Yeah, Baby Money Bass. Appreciate you, my man.
All right, no problem. Appreciate
yes, sir.
it.
Be good.
All right.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. Got another call here, or had another call. Yeah, as always, give me a call. Let's talk a little bit. If you've enjoyed the back and forth, going back and forth, just talking about real world events and whatnot, and getting a lot of laughs in tonight, which is definitely needed. So hit that thumbs up button, man. Show your support for the channel. Appreciate you. What else is going on? So we'll take a couple more calls and we'll get ready to dial back. And of course, there's going to be more news to talk about tomorrow. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Patrick. I'm calling from the DMV area. You know, typically go by 10 pound.
Okay.
Yeah, what's good with you, baby?
I'm doing good, my man. How you doing? What's on your mind?
I was just thinking about what your caller was saying, man, about how you can't really do much with gold and silver right by now. And I kind of disagree with that statement, of course. You know what I mean? But that's just me.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me where you disagree.
Personally, I'm actually selling a GPU, and a GPU, of course, is what we use to, validate transactions on specific networks that are ASIC resistant. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you got those GPUs that are powered by PCIe, and PCIe is powered by gold. So, you know what I mean? You got networks that are running on gold right about now. Yeah. So, I mean, it's all a matter of perspective.
Right. Very true. Very true.
So that being said, I really wanted to talk to you about, the Pentagon and what they're supposed to be doing right now. You know what I mean? And what they've got, going on.
What you got for us? I'm curious.
I'm sure you guys are aware about what's going on in Chicago. Now Trump has been sending out all these troops around to these major metropolises and whatnot, and just trying to keep order and the peace and whatnot. But I wonder what's going to happen once the entire system pretty much defaults, because the Pentagon already failed its first ever audit. It's already unaccountable. Like, what's going to happen to this institution? What's going to happen to all the people overseas that are serving under the American flag, getting a check from Uncle Sam on a monthly basis? What's going to happen then once the whole system goes belly up? What do you think?
Man, so a lot of people who are a lot of government workers, and so the government has grown massively, and it's good to say if they're not, it grew massively out of the promises of if you work for the government, you set for the rest of your life. So I'd imagine that narrative will end, and therefore those individuals will become ordinary everyday Joe, having to fend for themselves. And it's just a matter of whether or not, if it's slow, if this process continues to incrementally decrease over time, the government always take care of their own first, so that they can always have some frontline puppets. So they're going to make sure they get fed first before they send anything else out there to the rest of us. But if it comes to a complete halt, then those people are up a creek without a paddle, just like everybody else in a sense, because if the currency is no good, what can you do with it? So most of the people who work for government, they never really prepared outside of the promises that they expecting to get.
For sure. I completely agree. And, my family has actually gone through a bit of a furlough a little bit, but, been rolled back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that sort of like woke up one of my relatives. She was thinking, am I addicted to this paycheck? Like, am I literally just like living for the rush of getting this paycheck, every single, month?
Yeah.
Like, is this really what I'm living for? Like, can this just be taken away instantaneously if everything ends?
Yeah.
Like that sort of moment, during the first wave of the pandemic, sort of like sent a shockwave through her neural pathways, and pretty much like sort of woke her up and gave her a bit of a shock therapy, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I don't doubt it, and that goes to a lot of people, man. Like, as I mentioned all the time, like in one form or another, everybody's life's been altered or impacted in some way, and so whether it's employment or socially or mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you name it, everybody's been experiencing something. So, yeah,
for sure. Hey, but I gotta ask though, seriously, because you didn't actually touch base on the concept of what I actually stated. It's the idea of, what's going to happen to these troops, these military men and women that are serving overseas. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's really going to happen to them when it comes down to it at the end of the day? Because we have over 700 military bases internationally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's been interesting how Trump has been rolling back, and apart from what I hear mainstream-wise, bringing home a lot of troops, and I hear they're pulling some out of Germany and over in the Asian area. So I don't know if a part of that downgrading or bringing troops home has anything to do with that. But yet, if stuff ends when they're over there, hell, I don't know what would happen, because they're still military, but yet they're going to be in a desperate situation, maybe like everybody else, to where they're going to be looking to scramble to get home, or who knows? So I have no clue.
Okay, I get what you mean. So
it's hard to map out. That's like a worst case scenario of like, if that's like saying if the power go off now, hell, everything is off. Everything is off the table. You know, so we don't know what the heck is going to happen after that, because it's never really happened before.
That they're probably not going to take down this power grid at all. If anything, they're probably looking to upgrade the infrastructure right now.
With the 5G, definitely.
They definitely have been, for the most part. They've been upgrading roads. They've pretty much been trying to modernize the nuclear systems as well, getting it off that old, outdated, analog system and putting it on digital SSDs. And they've been upgrading, the powers that be have been upgrading the system to be far more resilient. I don't think the power grid is going to go down at all. From the perspective of somebody that's been sitting in the room with, the people that are, earning $1 million salaries from Intel, and just like, mixing these microphones, hearing these people speak. There's no way they're allowing the power grid to go offline. That's flawed. So that being stated, it was a great conversation, David, and I'll chat with you later on, all right?
For sure.
Keep it up with you straight up.
Yeah, be good. Thanks. Yeah, man. So it is what it is, man. Like the power grid, I mean, I'll never underestimate the powers that be, the principalities and powers that are in place to try to control this planet. And so I would like to say the power wouldn't go out. That'd be great. But yet, once again, because of what's at stake, and that's where we'll find out down the line if Trump is really that guy who is anti deep state, like he says he is, and a lot of people still believe in him, because he's definitely, he's done more overall good than his Hillary Clinton would have ever done for individuals in general. So in this country. So with that being the case, it's going to be hard to tell, man, but we will see. That's for sure. We will see, Lord willing, we will see. And so that, as I mentioned earlier, man, the needs are really, 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 outside of going back and forth, bouncing ideas off each other, talking about what's obvious and going a little bit deeper, sharing our opinions. Prayer, man, definitely need to be prayed up, man, and put it before the Lord, because for those that are believers, we're part of his body, which therefore he's responsible for us. So I'm putting it into his hands that he's going to give me, and as well as us, the guidance we need as time moves forward. Because there's a video that I want to share with you, and I'll let everybody check this. Let me see if I can find a video. Let me see I think I posted the video. I want everybody to check this video out here, because according to the game plan that was already set, and then people say about the vaccines, like, they talk about they're in a third phase, third trial. No, the vaccine's already been done. They're just, having to play that script of, we're now furthering it along. No, it's already done. Like, so that's how, think about this. When the pandemic first started, they were saying 12 to 18 months for damn virus or vaccine. And all of a sudden, within 2 or 3 months, as Fauci and Trump started to go tit for tat, it's ready it could be ready by this November. This, you know what I'm saying? So all this is planned. And there's a video I want to show people, but I don't seem to have it. But it was it's like a 5-minute video that talks about the overall agenda and how their goal is to have all this done and complete by 2025. And if that is the case, that universal basic income has to come sooner or later, because they're going to use that as a weapon against us down the line. Basically saying, unless you get vaccinated, we're going to cut your funding and this and that and this and all that stuff like that. So yeah, that's what it is. King D says, check out Solar Shield. They might even sponsor your show. Pick up the phone for LBP. LBP. Damn LBP. Who's that? So I see a lot of LBP. Damn, LBP losing his touch. LBP, I'm not who? Oh, low blood pressure. Oh. How many silver ounces to buy a house once complete collapse happens? How many ounces? How many ounces of silver? In a worst case scenarios, silver is the most valuable asset on the planet right now. And I think we're going to witness that because of how necessary silver is for everything. It's crucial for our future, technology-wise, and the demand for it is so high right now. And on top of that, it's not as readily available on the surface as it used to be 100 years ago. So it's harder to get. So therefore, I imagine, I do believe that we can see a ratio of gold of 1-to-1 or 10-to-1, which is cool. And then, of course, the Dow to gold ratio is definitely capable of going 1-to-1, 3-to-1, or something like that. And if gold and silver are running tandem, if not silver would be more important, I can see 2-3 ounces easily getting you whatever it is you want down the line. But then the question will be, how stable will society be, and how respectful will the law be towards property rights and ownership and things like that? Like, they're not going to have individuals going around buying up blocks and buying up warehouses for fun, like, because they were wise stewards and prepared in advance in the form of preserving their wealth through metals. And so I think it's just going to be a matter of what type of law will there be to reinforce property rights as well as all of other rights, because what we're experiencing, what we're witnessing now is the fact that, because we are technically still under national emergency. Like, you remember this, Trump hasn't done anything with that. So whatever he signed has already been in place. So for the last 5 months, we're still in a national emergency. Here in Michigan, we're still under executive order for being locked down, and certain things are not open still. So that right there pretty much suspends all the things that we think we have in the form of rights, according to the way they have written this stuff. So yeah, that they may keep this emergency lockdown and executive order stuff going for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Therefore, we might they may somehow, some way move away from the Constitution altogether, or talk about rewriting it as a part of the next paradigm. Because once again, and it talks about gold and silver being money. So they may not want that in there. So they may have to rewrite it and remove all that in a worst case scenario. So I think a couple ounces will do you good to get what you want. So definitely under 10. But then again, what type of neighborhood, what type of environment will we be in? Will there be a law enforcement to, keep things relatively calm and safe? Who knows? But all right. So about to get ready to dial back. As always, it's been great to be able to hang out with you guys. As always, so I'll say King D say, hit the thumbs up button if you guys have enjoyed the back and forth. And as always, want to make sure for those throughout the day, whenever I can, I try to post some articles on the rethinkingitdout.com news site. So definitely check that out. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm William from San Diego.
William from San Diego. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind?
Sorry to call late, but
it's okay.
I wanted to comment on the most recent. That was a good explanation of the silver value. But what you led up to is exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
When the markets let's say the silver is part of a marketplace, of a global marketplace, in which there's demand, for example, now more greater than we've seen for quite a decade. And the question isn't how many ounces of silver will you need for buying a particular house when there's 100,000 houses to choose from. The question is, for example, I will admit to having some debt. Okay, so I utilized that and tried to leverage it towards a living, right? Towards my family, towards me. Or towards my future, or towards silver. Like our friend, low blood pressure. But the markets, but silver being a part of a marketplace, let's say the United States of America, Alaska, Hawaii, and our colonies, I mean, the Philippines and Puerto Rico and so forth. And then you decide at the time when silver, let's say silver goes up past $100 an ounce. It goes up to $55, $60 right now because that would be the new high because of the inflationary situation since 2011, where we know the dollar is being devalued by the very creators of it, our Federal Reserve and our central banking system. But what I'm seeing right now is such a demand in silver. And this one is it's been preceded by 10 years. Like in the stock market, you look at these share values of and it turns into a spoon, like a big deep ladle. Like it went into, like the share price is going at $10, and then it drops all the way down to 3, 2. You don't even want it. You don't even want silver. Let's say it's silver. Now it's climbed up and it's a full ladle, meaning it's gone past where it's been for a long time, reaching into these where we know it's been before. What I'm trying to say is that let's say silver goes past 100. Let's say it becomes 1,000 an ounce, and you wish you would have kept them all. However, it's not like whether or not how many ounces of gold you can buy at that time, because if silver is 1,000, who knows where gold is?
Right.
Maybe 10,000 or 15,000. I mean, I don't really know these things. I'm just saying, if there's inflationary pressures where everything else isn't valuable, that house that you can buy for 10 ounces of silver, maybe, or 100 ounces, let's say, so $100,000 house, that is currently, let's say, $250,000 house, but if it's like 10 silver ounces, then what it means is in the marketplace is that you're at the bottom of that trough. And are you sure, like you were saying, where you want to live in a war-torn area in Ukraine, or who knows? Our inner cities are turning into a situation where our police were ordered, I think, by our city politicians, including our governors, I suppose, since they were allowed to decide, Trump allowed them to decide what they wanted to do. They actually seemed to me, living in a very safe place in the United States, in San Diego, near the beach, that they ordered the police to stand down to the
rioters,
Black Lives Matter, and all the hoodlums, and also that just really, I don't mean to put the Black Lives Matter, but into their mission statement. I read mission statements for corporations and try to bring back that to them to make them toe the line. And what they say is really scary for me anyway.
Extremely.
I mean, so that's what I was trying to say, Mike. I think you get it. I think there's some distinct areas we're reaching to right now where it will be important to hold gold, but whether you can, and then what are you going to spend it on? That's what I spend a lot of time considering. Also, I think that's where the solutions lie. You want to find something even better than silver. Maybe it is gold, but for me, it's like commercial land. That's what I do.
I think.
So I'm looking for the values, but I think one has to be careful.
I agree, my man. So I appreciate you calling in, and as always, good to hear your voice, my friend. Thanks for calling in.
All right, sorry to be so long.
Oh, no, you're good. I appreciate you. All right, be good.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yes, sir. All righty. So, I see a lot of low blood pressure talk. So phone lines are available. Give me a call. Let's talk with Mr. LBP, and then we're gonna get ready to dial back. And what else? So so it's one of the things where we're witnessing the restructuring of our monetary system as we know it. Our current national currency will no longer be something that will be able to preserve what little bit of purchasing power we do have left. Therefore, we're going to be ushered into something new. And it's preferred that they prefer to be solely digital so they can remove anything physical out of our possessions. So it will be tracked, traced, and monitored 24/7 through a digital wallet on our phones or eventually in our scans and whatever. But yet, in the meantime, that short period, there's going to be a window of time where the metals will serve a great purpose. And so that purpose right there will be ideal to where metal prices will peak at some point and be overvalued. Therefore, there will be time to unload those things as well. So that's all according to whatever strategy you might have worked out. And we're going to probably talk about that one day. Because ultimately, I think as this vaccine stuff is pushed out and universal basic income comes into play, they're going to make it mandatory that you have had a vaccine or you won't be able to participate in the digital in a digital society that they're creating. So think about that. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, man? This is Lonnie, man. I'm calling out of Texas, man. I'm from up in California. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Lonnie. How you doing, my man? What's on your mind?
All right, man. You know what? I check you out, man. I listen to you guys, but I'm gonna say something about the silver, man, the metals.
Okay.
The metals, obviously, you know, is a good investment for right now. As you just said, it should be a window. Mm-hmm. But people got to understand is that the crypto is going to be backed by metals, gold, silver, different assets. Mm-hmm. By the time that happens, it's going to be too late for people to get crypto because there's only a certain amount of money. A certain amount of crypto.
Watch this.
People understand.
Watch this. But because you can still buy into, so you don't have to actually have a full coin or whatever. And on top of that,
but at that time, I hear you. At that time, you would just be a person just living off the currency instead of a person who has benefited from it.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So therefore, you would become a sheep.
Yeah.
You would have to go to work or have to find something. You just be living off the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying about that time?
Right.
So now, just like people talk about the silver, because I was once at silver and gold too as well. I mean, I still hold a little bit, mm-hmm. but it's not for principle of what we all claim to see. Because you got to think about it, man. When it all comes down, the coin shops, they're not going to be open. It's going to be too dangerous. Where are you going to exchange this? Mm-hmm. And then if you say, well, I'm going to exchange my metals with somebody else, mm-hmm. how do I know that your metal's even real?
Right. Good point.
Because there's so much fraud going on with metals right now.
Oh, yeah, it's going to get worse. as the scarcity picks up,
right.
There's going to be a lot of fake stuff floating around there. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, you know, it's going to be backed by gold. Most definitely. I do agree with that. But what people are not understanding, it's not going to be backed by the gold that you hold, because we already see with history, they've already come and taken your gold mm-hmm. before. And so they're not going to give the people that power, because once again, they want to enslave us. So they understand, like, people like us, we're getting prepared. Mm-hmm. So we got to understand is that the banks are buying what? They're buying all of American assets. So what are the banks are going to want, you know what I mean, for people to buy back these assets from them? Okay, it's going to be something backed by gold. It's going to be crypto. We're going to go into everything is digital.
Yeah.
I mean, we got instant rice. I can text message you instantly, email you instantly. Your money is going to go digital.
Yeah, no doubt. And here's the thing. The only issue I ever had with going digital is that once we go digital, there's no going back. And so ultimately, the system will be consolidated into some single point of authority, like it always has been. Mm-hmm. That's like, you know, down the mm-hmm. line. At some point, it will be, mm-hmm. and that primary medium of exchange will be something that will be a link to your credit score, your health records, and it's going to be all that in one and on some database that you don't own. And so, in order to participate in that society, somehow, some way or another, you're going to have to go through their currency. So that's why I'm concerned with, you know, the competition that is going to be presented as something that they're going to try to do away with, such as Bitcoin and all the other projects. Either they're going to be merged into, or they're going to do something to regulate and to try to destroy the use of anything decentralized. And that's where I think it's going to be a warfare in a digital world pretty soon, or down the line.
Yeah. I agree, and that's why I've been watching a couple of people in your thing, man, and that's why we invested in XRP, because mm-hmm. Bitcoin most definitely is not regulated like XRP is. XRP has some ties with Donald Trump. You understand about that. Mm-hmm. So XRP is going to be that currency that you're actually talking about, man. The elites, the Amalekite, Edomite Jewish bankers, they're backing XRP. That's facts.
Yeah. I don't doubt it.
That's right.
XRP is getting a lot more momentum lately as it becomes a mainstream project. So therefore it's gonna do what it has to do, man. But at the end, man, one of my things is I'd imagine that they're aware of the fact that there's a lot of people speculating and anticipating riding a gravy train along with them, to where I'd imagine they got something planned for that down the line as well. I don't think they're gonna let a lot of XRP people buy Lambos and stuff down the line. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, you know what? Anyone that's thinking about buying Lambos right now at this one time, man, they're missing the whole picture.
Yeah,
here,
I just
man.
like using that because that was fun a couple of years ago hearing about that.
You know what I mean? So we're going into the days of driving cars and cities. You know what I mean? That's going to be fully digitally ran and all that. I mean, like the city next to him, whatever. You know, out there.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, let me get another call in, man. I appreciate your call.
All right, bro, man. You have a good one, man.
All right, be good. Man. Good to hear from you. Thanks. Yeah, man. All right. So we're a minute 20, man, longer than normal. I missed a call. Also, I'll take one more call if I can. Give me a call. Let's talk real quick. And other than that, man, it's been great hanging out. I'm curious to hear what else is going on out here. So we're going to get ready to dial back. As always, for those that are still tuning in, feel free to hit that thumbs up button and show some love to the channel. Appreciate it. As well as, you know, it looks like we got about 300 or so people watching. Anybody out there who have not commented in the chat, why don't you jump in the chat real quick and introduce yourself. Don't be a stranger. We are family here. We get together and talk about real world events and try to encourage and better prepare with each other. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Don't be a stranger. We all family here.
Hello.
We get together and talk about real world. Yes.
Hey there. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, this is Chris, man. I'm in Decatur. My VPN probably got me in Canada, but I'm in Decatur, Georgia.
All right, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just think that, you know, people don't need to get so wrapped up in the crypto. Have it in a portfolio. Mm-hmm. And if you don't hold it, you don't own it. You know, just because silver's $30 an ounce, $29 an ounce, if you just now starting, you may still need to get some. Because while we was buying it when it was half the price, it still is valuable.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just think that everybody needs to don't get caught up in this XRP. They always tell you what you think might work, you know, but then you gonna mess around and find out, you know, no, it's not working. You're not the one behind the scenes. You're not making the signatures. You're not doing anything. You're putting in money to try to get something that you really don't have control of. But when you purchase that precious metal, you have control of it.
Yeah.
And that's what we really need to start doing. Focusing on things that are in our presence.
Yeah.
Digital signatures, yeah, that's fine. Digital currency, yeah, I understand, get it. But you don't really control it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you're better off having a real asset in your presence as well as other things.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's pretty much my opinion on it. I think you're doing an excellent job. I've seen you years and years back.
Appreciate you, my man.
You resonate with everybody, man. And, you know, just a shout out, man.
Appreciate you. Thanks for your support, my man. Be good. Thanks for your comments as well.
All right.
All right.
Yes.
All right, man. So yeah, we have gone longer than normal, and so I was holding off for Mr. Low Blood Pressure, but the phone ain't rung. So I'm not ignoring you though. But anyway, everybody, it's been great, man. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. That's it. I'm about to dial back, and so for those in the chat, as I mentioned, for those that are watching, feel free to acknowledge your presence, and I'll give you a little shout out. I'd like to see some new names, some new faces every now and then, and get a chance to see what's going on, man. All right, but we're about to get ready to dial back, and so we'll be on forever. But it's almost midnight here in the D. So anyway, be blessed, be safe. As always, any resources for more information beneath this video here, all my interviews and you name it, it's already out there. We know what's going on. Get your weight up, people. That's the number one thing you can do to help protect and preserve your posterity moving forward. Anyway, be blessed. Peace.